What's going on, YouTube gang? It's Mel DFS coming to you live and direct, here to give you my favorite plays for week 2. Let's jump into these plays. I was real busy in week 1 to where I couldn't even get any type of videos in. If you want the rest of my player pool, click the link in the description for Draft Dashboard tools. Only $1 up to 30 days. So let's jump into it. Going my first play at quarterback, Russell Wilson. Amazing play. 54 implied total in this matchup. Now in the spot, he will be a cash spot, but going against the Titans, they allowed 4 touchdowns in week 1. He's averaging 31.3 fantasy points in 3 high-scoring games. He had a impressive 4 touchdowns against the Colts defense in week 1. Russell Wilson will definitely be a great play versus the Titans. Second spot we'll look into is Justin Herbert. Get him for a cheaper play going against Dallas. It's a 55 implied total in this matchup, and I really feel like it's more of an easier matchup versus Washington in week 1. Dallas allowed 379 passing yards versus Tampa, 4 passing touchdowns, 317 passing yards in the last 4 games, roughly 2.5 touchdowns allowed. This is a high implied total. He's averaging 31.5 fantasy points in 6 high-scoring games. Love Justin Herbert. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Jared Cook, these guys are in play, y'all. So Justin Herbert should have a great time in this offense for week 2. All right, let's go to our next play. Let's go for a value play where I'm going to look into Teddy Bridgewater, 54 against Jags. Should be a good spot. He had 20 fantasy points against the Giants defense in week 1 with 2 touchdowns and 36 pass attempts. And he's averaging 20.5 fantasy points in the last 4 away games. And versus Jags, they allowed 2 touchdowns in week 1, 291 passing yards. I do like the Denver stack. We've got some nice valuable spots in the Denver stack. Jerry Jeudy out will also open up value in the receiver core. Love Teddy Bridgewater to definitely help out your lines for week 2. Let's go to our next play. Going to the running backs. Nick Chubb going against Houston should eat in this play. He had 23 fantasy points versus the Chiefs, 15 carries with 2 touchdowns, and now going against the Jags defense, they allowed 32.8 fantasy points to the running backs, went away in the last 4 games. He did have a 21 fantasy point game last season in week 10 against them. Jags are 29th versus the running backs in the past 5 games until last season. So love this play for Nick Chubb at the running back position. Next play I do like is Myles Sanders in a good play against my Niners here, which he had 15 carries, 4 for 5 targets in week 1. Possibly could be a low-owned play here, as the Niners do allow average 7 receptions, 59 receiving yards to the running backs, averaging 29.2 fantasy points in the last 4 games. The Niners allowed 24 fantasy points from Swift in week 1. So good spot for Myles Sanders. Could be a great play once again for the Eagles into week 2. Like Myles Sanders here at running back. Melvin Gordon also in a great play. Like I said, I do like the Denver stack here, so Melvin Gordon is another valuable play. All right, let's go to our next spot. Let's go to our receivers. All right, we got the obvious spots here, but let's go for some value. Mike Williams, a 61 against Dallas. Love this play for Mike Williams. He had 22 fantasy points, 8 for 12 with a touchdown, and Dallas defense allowed 250 receiving yards to the receiver spot in week 1. 2 touchdowns, 226 receiving yards, around 1.8 touchdowns in the last 4 games against the receiver position. So another play I want to look into, Cole Beasley at 4,600 is still too cheap going against Miami. He had 13 targets in week 1 with 14 fantasy points. I'm back here once again for Beasley. Definitely think it'd be a great valuable play. Had a high percentage of snaps into week 1. Love this play for Cole Beasley once again for value for this week. Another play that could be sleeper is KJ Hamler. Jerry Jeudy out. He will be a gem in week 2. So definitely take a look at KJ Hamler in your lines. He's very cheap at 3,800. Russell Gage against Tampa. He's 4,800 in the last 4 games in the past 2 seasons. He's averaging 17.5 fantasy points in the last 4 games against Tampa, averaging 11 targets. And Tampa's allowing 303 passing yards in week 1 with 3 touchdowns. I definitely think it'll be a bounce back, looking to throw the ball. Going to be trailing from behind, so definitely think Russell Gage will be highly effective in this spot at receiver. All right, let's go to our next spot here, going to tight ends. Got Darren Waller. Basically, you should call him the receiver 1 spot in their offense. He had 19 targets in week 1, 10 receptions, 105 yards with a touchdown against Baltimore. It's hard to deny this spot for him. Darren Waller, getting those type of targets, great play against Pittsburgh. Now, if you want to get some savings, we did mention Jared Cook for Chargers. You want to pair him up with Justin Herbert. Great spot to look into. Noah Fant is also in play. Averaged 22% in target share in week 1, 6 for 8 with 62 receiving yards with 83% in snaps. And Jags allowed average 17.7 fantasy points in the last 4 games at home to the tight end spot. So Noah Fant, great play to also look in for value. Another play is also valuable is Rob Gronkowski. He is still too cheap on DraftKings. He was 8 for 8 with 2 touchdowns, real effective in the red zone. The fact that they gave Goddard 4 for 5 with a touchdown in week 1, this is a good spot for Gronk. ATL allowed 16 fantasy points in the last 4 games against the tight end spot. Definitely think Rob is a great play in the red zone once again. Another play that also could be overlooked, Mike Gesicki going against Bills. He's 4K on DraftKings. He's 53 on FanDuel. He was limited in snaps, but looking to the news, due to the Dolphins starting their rookie left tackle, and they needed primary and blocking. So knowing that Austin Jackson should be good into week 2, he should get a bounce back in his snaps, averaging 13.4 fantasy points in the last 2 games last season. And Buffalo allows an average 8.5 receptions, 20.8 fantasy points in the last 4 games against tight ends. He even had a 30 fantasy point game in week 2, 8 for 11 targets, 130 yards was a touchdown. So Mike Gesicki could be low owned and overlooked because of his limited snaps last week. And let's go to our defense. Now, the only 2 defense I really like here is Broncos. They had 8 fantasy points, 2 sacks, and a fumble. 13 points allowed in week 1. And looking at Jacksonville, they threw 3 interceptions in week 1, averaging 1.3 interceptions in the last 4 games, and opposing defense averaged 8 fantasy points. So Broncos, great spot to look at. Another play against my Niners once again is the Eagles, y'all. 2,400 is still too cheap. In the last 3 years, around 18.7 fantasy points, averaging 1.7 interceptions, 4.3 sacks. In week 1, they had 10 fantasy points, 3 sacks, 6 points allowed. The Eagles could be very undervalued in this play. Even last year, I think it was like 18 fantasy points last year against my Niners. A very viable spot at 2,400 to help out, to be cheap on that end and help out balance your lines elsewhere. So these are my favorite plays for week 2, y'all. Like the plays, give a thumbs up. Like I said, you want the rest of my player pool, click the link in the description for Draft Dashboard Tools. It's $1 up to 30 days. And once you sign up, get access to the NFL cheat sheet, your sleepers and your studs. Click on the watch players. You'll see my player pool up top. Click on watch Mel DFS picks. I love y'all. Y'all collect that bag for week 2. It's Mel DFS and y'all stay blessed. And I'll see y'all in the next video.